He wants to denuke, but he wants to just do areas that are less important than the areas that we want. He's quite a guy and quite a character, and I think our relationship is very strong. But at this time, we had some options, and at this time we decided not to do any of the options, and we'll see where that goes. But it was a very interesting 2 days, and I think actually it was a very productive 2 days, but sometimes you have to walk, and this was just one of those times.
We didn't get all the way. We didn't get to something that ultimately made sense for the United States of America. I think Chairman Kim was hopeful that we would. We asked him to do more. He was unprepared to do that. But I'm still optimistic.
David, I want to take off the sanctions so badly because I want that country to grow. That country has got such potential. The inspections on North Korea will take place, and if we do something with them, we have a schedule set up that is very good. We know things that, as David was asking about certain places and certain sites, there are sites that people don't know about that we know about. We would be able to do inspections, we think, very, very successfully. Basically, they wanted the sanctions lifted in their entirety, and we couldn't do that. They were willing to denuke a large portion of the areas that we wanted, but we couldn't give up all of the sanctions for that. So we continue to work, and we'll see, but we had to walk away from that particular suggestion. We had to walk away from that. You know, I was watching, as a lot of you folks over the weeks have said, we've given up. We haven't given up anything. And frankly, I think we'll end up being very good friends with Chairman Kim and with North Korea.
Do you think the next meeting could be soon or might take some time?
Well, I can't tell you. I mean, it might be soon. It might not be for a long time. I can't tell you. I would hope it would be soon, but it may not be for a long time. I could have done a deal today, but it would have been a deal that wouldn't have been a deal that would have been something that I wouldn't have been happy about. Mike would not have been happy about. We had some pretty big options, but we just felt it wasn't appropriate, and we really wanted.
It would have been great if we could have come out with a deal that moved things along, but ultimately it's not a big problem for the United States because our security is still guaranteed. Our deterrent is still going to keep the United States safe. We don't need a deal. Time is on our side. But Kim Jong-un, I think he tried to make a strong play to try to get all the sanctions relief, and it didn't work out because Trump decided not to make a bad deal, so he left. The problem is that now Kim Jong-un doesn't have sanctions relief. And so until he's willing to come back to the table to talk about that, he's going to continue to suffer. And I think that that's what's going to provide the impetus for him to come back to the table later. Yeah, well, everybody's very interested in that, trying to figure out what's going on. It typically doesn't mean something good when they suddenly depart before they were supposed to. So I think, we're going to have to wait to hear what happens at 2 o'clock, but it probably didn't work out as good as we'd hoped.
Can we be sure that the negotiation broke down?
No, we can't be sure right now. We just don't know what's going on. It's just very unusual, and that usually means something not good, but who knows, maybe that we'll be surprised.
Okay. Do you think there's a chance that they will come back and meet and resume the negotiation?
I think that's always possible. It could be that one side or the other put down a hard marker or a hard decision or a hard question, and the other side said, that's it, then we're going to quit talking, and maybe they went their separate ways, and perhaps they can come back and renegotiate. That's always possible.
My name is Don Kirk. I've been following the North Korean nuclear issue for quite a few years. I also covered the Vietnam War from Saigon during the war. I was there at the height of the war on the American and what we called South Vietnamese side. So obviously coming to Hanoi, this is the 3rd or 4th time I've been to Hanoi, is a tremendous experience. And one gets in a sense of a festive mood in the city. One sees these signs saying sustainable peace and city for peace. It's very interesting.
What do you think about this summit? I mean, of course, it's the second summit, but still, the meeting between the U.S. president and the chairman from North Korea. It's a huge thing, right?
It's a huge thing, but I'm not really optimistic about the results. I kind of think they're going to get around the whole issue of denuclearization. I don't think North Korea is going to agree on denuclearization. They may come through with some secondary agreements. They may have some kind of statement saying, the Korean War is finished. They call it an end of war declaration. But I'm not optimistic about any really solid results.
Don't you think that the expectation from the U.S. is too high? I mean, they take it as something for the survival of their system.
Yeah, I'm not sure the U.S. has high expectations at this point, because Singapore was kind of a disappointment. There was a very vague statement about denuclearization, but that was about it. So I'm not sure they have really high expectations right now. But I think there are high hopes, let's put it that way. By the way, the big winner from this summit is going to be Vietnam for hosting the summit. Vietnam can't lose. Vietnam is emerging as the host city, a city that was formerly more than 50 years ago was at war with both the Americans and the South, and now it's hosting this summit on good terms with the U.S., a prosperous economy, hoping to improve relations with another communist country, namely North Korea. It's very interesting. Well, my impression is that there's a festive mood in the city. There's also very tight security, and there's a sense of excitement here. I think it's good for Vietnam. Now, whether it's good for the U.S., whether it solves the nuclear issue is another matter. And it's very interesting for me to be here, having been in Saigon a lot during the war, having been in Hanoi 3 or 4 times over the years, and having visited Saigon since the war as well.
So, final question is like, what do you think if they have a declaration of peace, like you said? Isn't it good enough, like, in Hanoi, that you have the declaration of peace?
North Korea really wants this declaration of peace because it's an obvious move toward a peace treaty under which they would demand dissolution of the UN Committee, and under which U.S., South Korean, and other allied forces fought the Korean War. So North Korea would love an end-of-war declaration as a prelude to a peace treaty. Then they just go on intensifying their demands for withdrawal of U.S. forces from the South. That's the problem with an end-of-war declaration. The war is over. The Korean War ended with a truce in July 1973. That truce has endured for all that time since then.
Yeah.
If I'm not willing to do that, I won't be here right now. 아마 최고의 대답을 하실 것 같습니다. 단계를 구체적인 조건으로 취해서 보시는 생각은 아직 안 했습니다. That is what we're discussing right now. 네, 목소리 크게 하지 마십시오. 나하고 얘기하는 게 아닙니다. 모든 걸 다 얘기하고 있습니다.
But I think we've had very, very productive discussions, and the relationship is as good as it's ever been better. And you good. You see that? That doesn't mean we're doing it in 1 day or 2 days, but it's all leading toward a very big success. And I really believe that with this great leadership, North Korea is going to be very successful. Economically, it's going to be something very, very special.
질문에 대한 위원장의 답변을 듣고 싶습니다.
You have enough light. I know just very well. Just in case.
Something which is
No, it's yours okay.
예정입니다. 생각을 해서는 안 되는데 이거는 양쪽 상방에 다 좋은 그런 일이라고